So, hi guys, we are having Arun with us. He's a certified soft skill trainer, public speaking, and communication coach, and he has trained around 90,000 professionals and around across. He has worked with Prism Industries and many industries. So, and with Star also, that is main important airline company. So, over to you, Arun.
Okay. Hi. Hi, Pratyasha. And everybody who's going to watch it now or maybe in the future. Hello to everyone. My name is Arun. Uh, Pratyasha introduced me really well. Then that's some part of the life that I've lived in my professional career. I've worked with a lot of other companies as well. It's been almost 20 years that I've been associated with communication training in particular. Now, when we talk about communication training, it's not limited to a language. It includes how you communicate. It could be soft skills, it could be body language, it could be any industry. So when you talk about communication, it's a vast topic. But then yes, I've been associated with it, and I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
So, so as we, what I should learn, what are the other people watching this podcast should learn from your experience because you're having a lot of experience. That's very important.
See, I think what they can learn from this podcast is I'm sure they would watch me as a person and understand I have been somebody who's just like everybody who's watching it. So maybe if it's an 18-year-old guy or a girl watching this, remember I was sometime behind the table, nervous, not knowing how to speak, and preparing answers. And
Yes.
today, when I'm here, I have no preparations done. There were no notes made. I thought I'll be there on the camera and I'll teach people how you talk. So you can observe me, how we talk, and how you can sound really confident without being scripted.
Okay. I just want to know that people are often afraid that they stammer a lot. Yeah. Means वो लोग रुक रुक के बोल देते हैं. Means क्यों ऐसा होता है? Means why do they stammer a lot?
See, stammering can happen because of many reasons. The first one is confidence. If you've got stage fright, you've not been on stage, so you will stammer. Second, there are chances that you're not prepared well. So if you don't know the content that you're going to speak about, then you may stammer. Third, there are times when people have uh, s- problems when they talk. So there are a lot of defects, which are there in your articulator. So because of that, so, I mean, we can't just reason stammering or probably associated with one cause. There could be many reasons, but primarily people stammer when their brain and their tongue are not working in sync.
Okay.
So you would observe people talk really fast at times. And that's also because they're nervous. It's not that somebody who can talk really fast is very good at communicating.
Yeah.
Your brain and your tongue have to work in sync. And if
Okay.
that doesn't happen, sometimes people stammer.
Yes.
So not just stammer, they use fillers as well.
Okay. So basically, you mentioned that there's a major defect in articulation. So, what are the major defect in articulation we have of trained the people? What you see?
See, so everybody, I mean, let's just take an example of India. People living in different parts of India, they speak one common language differently. So if you talk about Hindi or English or any language, if somebody is living in North India, they would speak English differently. Somebody who's living in South, they may speak differently because they've got regional influence. They've got their mother tongue influence. All right. So that's one cause that impacts how somebody speaks. And other than that, because they've been speaking their language in a certain way, their articulators, I mean, their mouth, their tongue, have become habitual to create sounds or enunciate sounds in a certain way that they can't enunciate. So जैसे आपने देखा लोग सा शा का प्रॉब्लम होता है वो सुगर शुगर को ठीक है किसी का वो शिप को शीप बोलेंगे बिकॉज वो जहां से वो आ रहे हैं वहां पर जिस तरह से जो भाषा बोली जा रही है उसका इम्पैक्ट दूसरी लैंग्वेज पे होता है एंड मेजरली इफ यू वुड सी कई बार इफ यू so there are a lot of people that you would hear जिनका टंग जो होता है वो नीचे चिपका होता है थोड़ा सा ठीक है कुछ लोगों का सॉरी
Can you repeat it once again?
so there are times when your tongue it's not shaped properly and
Hmm.
जीभ होती है वो नीचे कुछ लोगों की ज्यादा जुड़ी होती है या फिर आपका मुंह पूरा नहीं खुलता है ठीक है जो लोग बहुत ज्यादा मतलब च्यू करते हैं तंबाकू वगैरह, उनका मुंह पूरा नहीं होता, तो वो क्लियरली नहीं बोल पाते.
Yeah.
For anybody to speak properly, the most important thing is that they should be able to use their mouth enough.
Okay.
Okay, we will talk about a lot of things, I'm sure, but then that's one major reason why you would see people are not able to pronounce things correctly is because one, they have their own regional influences and then their defect.
That's right. Okay, and you talked at how to gain confidence. That is very important. What exercise they should do? आप बोल रहे हो gain confidence, but exercise भी तो करना होगा कि what people can learn from it.
Okay, when you talk about what exercises can they do in terms of how to be confident or a confident speaker, see, first and the foremost thing is that it comes naturally when you have been exposed to things like those. I'll give you an example. तो बच्चे स्कूल से ही एक्सटेम्पोर्स में या फिर स्टेज पे जाके स्पीच बोल, तो इनके अंदर से स्टेज फियर नहीं. लेकिन जिसने कभी नहीं किया वो आगे जाके सोचेगा कि नहीं मैं बड़े होकर कर लूंगा, नहीं. तो for parents it is important to give exposure to their children so that they get into an environment where they can interact, they can present themselves, they can talk on stage. That's one. Let's say if you've passed that age and now you are in a space where you don't know how to talk, the most important thing that you need to know is you need to be prepared.
Okay.
Preparation is the key.
Hmm.
You just don't, if you do nothing you can be a jack of all master of none. I mean, I'll give you an example, okay? A lot of influencers who are there online, they're doing a great job, brilliant, but they're not teachers, they are not experts, they're not coaches. Being an influencer is something that you've learned. Similarly, being a coach is something that you have an expertise in it.
Yes.
So I would not want to speak like an influencer and say कि confident होने के लिए आप ये 5 प्रैक्टिस कर लो, ये 4 प्रैक्टिस कर लो. सबसे पहले you should know what you want to talk about. You should be prepared with the content that you want to communicate.
Yes.
Then when you're communicating, remember that communication is not limited to a language. And this is something that I tell people. लोगों ने इंग्लिश भाषा को मतलब ऐसा समझ लिया that English will give you wings. Speak English, it's everything. It's a
Hmm.
good language. It's spoken a lot, so it is important that people should learn it if necessary. But that does not mean that communication is only limited to English. You can communicate in any language. Communication only means that the message should be sent by the sender, received by the receiver, and the proper response or a relevant response is given. So वो हिंदी हो, इंग्लिश हो, कोई भी भाषा हो, लैंग्वेज को अपना वेपन मत बनाओ. You should be more dependent on your thoughts.
Yes.
That's one. Second, body language.
Okay.
How you talk, how you appear, how you know, use your hand movements. So there are a lot of things. I mean, when you talk about body language, it talks
Yeah.
about eye contact, it talks about how you shake your head, how you use your hands. So
हाँ
you,
जी.
you can work on a lot of things.
Hmm.
So primarily know the content. I'll point it down for you. You should know what you're going to talk about.
Hmm.
Second, be prepared. Practice it a couple of times. Third, control your body. All right.
Okay.
Body language plays a very important role. And if let's say somebody has really not been able to do that, I think they should not just look at influencers, watch through reels. They should also look at reaching out to experts. Yes. Yeah. देखो हम ना अगर हम इंटरनेट पे जाए तो हमको पता चल जाता है कि अगर ये पेट दर्द है तो इसकी दवाई है, लेकिन फिर भी हमें डॉक्टर के पास.
Yes.
अगर हम सोचे कि नहीं मैं मैथ्स की बुक तो बाहर मार्केट से, तो मुझे पढ़ने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं होता. यू वुड नीड एन एक्सपर्ट, अ गुरु, अ कोच इज ऑलवेज नीडेड.
Yes.
I mean, I have no disrespect. I mean, I really love the way influencers are sharing things because that's important. लोगों को नहीं मिलता इतना exposure, नहीं होता उतना time कि वो जा सके. But if you are looking for guided help, if it's important for you, for your job, for your education, or for your future, look for a coach. Find the right coach. Believe me, if I would not have had a right coach, I won't be here. Being on the other side of the table, this can only happen when you have the right coach.
Okay. So I was reading in one a LinkedIn post that now English is considered as an imperfect, but because now brand is loving the imperfect thing, not the English thing. And what the people are doing is that they are making feel like their corporate slogan. They are using corporate languages to sound smarter. So, what is your take on this, Arun?
See, again, been with corporates for 20 years. Everybody has their own say on things. They would come up with their own opinion. It's an opinion.
Okay,
I can have my own opinion basis my experience. Somebody who has come up with that, it's their opinion. But there's just one thing that, like, I agree to, or probably some part of it that I agree to. You
yeah,
don't need to be perfect.
yes,
Nobody is perfect. Perfection is a myth.
yes,
Okay. People make errors while they speak. Even the masters of the language, they make errors at times. But all you need to know is that your message should be delivered. May it be English, or may it be corporate English, or may it be any levels of English. Okay. You've got beginners, advanced, standard, all of that. All that should happen is your message should be delivered.
okay,
If I'm able to speak in a way that my message is delivered and the other person is able to understand, fine. Unless you're a teacher, you don't really need to be perfect. I mean, if I'm an English teacher, then I need to speak fluently, correctly, make sure that I do not make errors. But let's say if you're a cricketer and you have to deliver a speech after your team wins, or probably you're working at a store, you don't need to know the nuances of the language. You don't need to learn grammar. You can only speak enough which is relevant for your profession. Okay? Speaking relevant to your profession, or knowing a language which is enough for you to be able to communicate your message is fine. You don't need to be perfect.
so, Arun, I have two questions to ask you. Two questions for you. How to find the right coach? You told us we need to find a right coach who can train us because everyone has a different personality traits. बिहेवियर होती है साइकोलॉजिकल बिहेवियर होती है वो थोड़ी डिफरेंट होती है कैसे हम लोग उसकी क्राइटेरिया कैसे कि हम लोग राइट कोच क्योंकि अभी बहुत कोच है
बहुत कोच, राइट, आई लाइक दैट। से बहुत कोच है, और ये कोच कैसे ढूंढा जाए? फर्स्ट एंड द foremost thing that I would want to tell you is, uh, whenever you are looking at a coach, look at their achievements.
ओके
Look at what have they studied. Okay. I'll give you an example. There are a lot of coaches, communication coaches, soft skills trainers who claim to be that, but they can only speak English, right? And I'm not, again, no disrespect for them. I'm sure they are doing great job, that they're making, that they're helpful to a lot of people. But at the same time, if you want, again, when you go to a doctor, you look at if he is an MD or an MBBS, right? That's how you should look for a coach.
आई थिंक सो वन इज वर्ड ऑफ माउथ आल्सो
See, word of mouth, again, it's.
फैमिली
I'll give an example
डॉक्टर
of a famous man. You know Khan sir,
या
teaches online.
या
That's how he started.
या
He is educated, right?
या
Imagine if somebody in class 12 would have learned math to that level and he starts his coaching and then he becomes somebody who's extremely famous. See, being famous is different. Word of mouth can at times be for people who are famous. But knowledge is with those who are experienced. Look at the experience of the coach that you're looking at. Look at the educational qualification specific to that industry. So, if I'm a communication trainer, or if I'm a communication coach, how many years I've spent as a communication coach? Let's say if you are looking for soft skills training, Pratyasha, look for a soft skills trainer and look at how many places, where are they trained. Now, if you are working with aviation and somebody was a soft skills trainer with a bank, it's different. Soft skills for bank is different, soft skills for aviation is different. It's customized. And my suggestion my suggestion to everybody who's looking for a coach, look for a coach who has an expertise in your field, your industry, not just a random coach. And then when you, let's say, even if you were able to funnel it down to a 10 or a 5, Speak to all five of them.
Okay.
Okay. But understand, before you start investing 100, 200, 500, 300 here or there just to connect with people, do your research.
Yes.
Don't just go with the word of mouth that this person is nice, I've done it through him.
Hmm.
Speak to the coach. You probably book a session. See if the right coach is available in market. And I have a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people who've done that, and I personally do it as well. We connect first, we try and understand. I'll give you a like a shortcut how you can find a right coach. Book a meeting with a person. See if this person is trying to tell you what he knows or he's trying to get what is your problem. You should find a coach who's a problem solver. He should be letting you speak more.
Yes.
He should be able to analyze what is it that you need, what is it that you lack, what is it that he's supposed to work on, and how you and probably your coach can work together. If he's able to do that in a session before he starts coaching you, is when he'll be the right coach.
Okay.
डोंट जस्ट गो विद सुना ज्ञान, ज्ञान सारे दे सकते हैं, कोई भी आके दे सकता है, लेकिन सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, लेट्स से इफ आई वर टू टॉक टू यू, आई एनालाइज के प्रॉब्लम्स ये हैं,
हाँ हाँ।
बोलने में ये प्रॉब्लम है, ग्रामर में ये प्रॉब्लम है, लैंग्वेज में ये है, सॉफ्ट स्किल्स में है, बॉडी लैंग्वेज में ये है, और उसके बाद आई पुल अप अ कस्टमाइज्ड अगेन
Customize.
customized structured smart plan.
Okay. Okay. So I was when I was in MBA. So what we used to see that people used to read whenever they used to do the presentation. They used to read a lot. Okay. And in the corporate, I've never seen it, but in school, college, or MBA life, people used to read. They couldn't speak properly, but they used to read a lot, and they used to get scolding by the teacher.
See, that's because they've not practiced it. Again, in soft skills, I mean, there's this theory that we've used, which mostly talked about, you should not be expecting everybody to know everything. All right. This is called the curse of knowledge.
Yeah,
Again, it's a theory. It's called curse of knowledge. It means when you know something, you expect the other person to know it.
yeah,
या इतना तो आती होगा, ऐसे नहीं कर पा रहा, ये नहीं कर पा रहा, ये सो होता है, लेकिन उनकी गलती नहीं है, उनको वो एक्सपोजर ही
हाँ,
लेकिन अब नहीं मिला, अब आगे क्या करना है, ठीक है, समथिंग दैट कुड नॉट हैपन, आगे क्या करना है, दे शुड रीड मोर, धीमे धीमे पॉइंट्स. In corporates, I'm sure, because if you are working now, so you've seen the kind of presentations we had earlier. They were very detailed. Now they are very points driven. Now
yeah,
somebody who does not know the information would not be able to go with that pointer thing. Okay, if somebody has the information, if they've gone through the content, they would remember, oh, this point, this is what I have to talk about, that point, this is what it includes. So again, if you go back to what I said, your preparation, your knowledge of the matter,
yeah.
your knowledge, the content, that matters the most. That
Okay,
makes you more confident. That would make you a better presenter.
okay. अरुण adding one more to that context, क्या होता था कि टीचर हम लोग को बोलते मतलब मीन्स इट वाज दैट एमबीए में एक दिन पहले प्रेजेंटेशन करना पड़ता था, ठीक है. देयर वर सम पीपल, ओके, दैट दे न्यू इट बट दे नेवर यूज्ड टू प्रिपेयर, बट दे कुड जस्ट टॉक अबाउट इट, but they were unprepared, but they were talking in a nicely mode, in a good mode, in a calm mode. They were not nervous. Then there was one, I'm not basically pinpointing that person, but there were certain people who used to read out as I added to those points. So you told that those people were not prepared, but I'm not cross questioning you, but just I'm saying that.
Pratyasha, I'll tell you what. बोलना important नहीं है. ऐसे बोलना कि सामने वाले को समझ में आए, वो important. If they could do that, understand that means in the past they have done things like those.
Okay.
अगर किसी ने बैट नहीं पकड़ा और आप बोलो वो सीधा क्रिकेट मैच इंटरनेशनल खेलने गया और उसने सिक्स मारना शुरू कर दिया, पॉसिबल ही नहीं. दोज पीपल हु यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट जो प्रिपरेशन नहीं करते थे, वो सीधा अगले दिन जाके उनके पास कहीं ना कहीं पीछे, चाहे वो स्कूल में हो या फिर कॉलेज में हो, वो एक्सपीरियंस रहा होगा वेयर दे वर पार्ट ऑफ एक्सटेम्परी, यू वर गिवन अ टॉपिक एंड यू स्टार्ट टॉकिंग, या फिर घर पर भी उनके ऐसे कॉन्वर्सेशंस फैमिली के साथ होते होंगे वेयर यू पिक अप अ टॉपिक एंड आई मीन इट्स नॉट अ डिबेट, लेकिन सब अपना ओपिनियन देते हैं ना. जैसे कि अभी हमारी फैमिली में अगर हम बैठे हुए हैं, somebody is like अब वहां पर गवर्नमेंट ये आ गई है, क्या होने वाला है, and then they start talking. So you come from from a family or from a background of school or college where you've got that chance to speak, you will be able to. ऐसा कुछ अनोखा आर्ट नहीं। कोई बोले कि नहीं वो नेचुरली ऐसा है, नेचुरली कुछ नहीं होता, ये सारी डेवलप्ड स्किल्स हैं,
Okay.
नोइंगली अननोइंगली डेवलप होती हैं। लेकिन सी अगर कोई बोल पा रहा है बहुत अच्छी बात है, लेकिन स्ट्रक्चर्ड कॉन्वर्सेशन,
Yeah.
see they should be able to presentation again, it's a different uh, topic all about how do you present. You should be able to, how do you introduce a topic, how do you bring in the with him, what's in it for people, all right, what is the content when you do that information exchange, when you're sharing information, how interactive is your conversation, are people sleeping, are they getting bored, are they watching you, are they listening to you, because सिर्फ बोलना नहीं है, समझ आना चाहिए सामने वालों को। योर टोन प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल, योर इंटोनेशन प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल, योर वर्ड स्ट्रेस वेर यूर स्ट्रेसिंग ऑन वर्ड, दैट प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स दैट मैटर। सो समबडी जो सिर्फ एक आके वो मंत्र पढ़ के चला गया, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि इज अ ग्रेट कम्युनिकेटर, वो चाहे किसी भी लैंग्वेज में हो, इंग्लिश में हिंदी में। अगर कोई बंदा धीमे धीमे भी बोल रहा है, पॉज लेके बोल रहा है, और सही जगह इंटोनेट कर रहा है, और सामने वाले को समझ आ रहा है, दैट्स इफेक्टिव कम्युनिकेशन।
Okay.
ओके, so even those guys who have to were good with presentation, like you said that you had your colleagues who were prepared, or sometimes they didn't even prepare, they were presented it. I'm sure some of them could be really good because of the experience and exposure. But at the same time, if even they have to improve, they would have to start listening to themselves. They will have to probably get into a coaching with a right person who can guide them, and then make those presentations more impactful, because presentation is not about sharing information, it is about making an impact.
So basically, I don't know. This is out of the context, but in data analytics and AI agents, whatever the new skills coming, they also
Right.
need a communication. There's a data storytelling. It's telling about the problem, the outcome, the solution, how it can solve my problem.
So see, storytelling or data storytelling, again, it talks about, so like I said, there's a structure to
Yeah, yeah.
presentation, there's a structure to training. Similarly, for this particular line of education and work, everybody has to story tell. See, you can't just say that, hey, you know what, this is the iPhone, it will give you this, you can click better pictures. Instead, if you were to say earlier, when there were no good cameras, people click pictures which were blur. They could hardly see what's there. With time, there were phones that got good cameras. Now, when I have a phone which can click a camera or which can click a picture of the moon when I'm right here, that's storytelling. People get engaged, right? So that's why storytelling is important. And yes, again, it's not just to data analytics, it's everywhere now.
Example, because I
Yeah,
was working as a freelancer
but that's a
data.
great example. I mean, even in technology, I mean, I've got friends who are working with IT. Uh, they're into data security. They're into data mining.
AI
Even when
engineering.
they have, even when they have to speak to their clients or present on what
Hmm.
they've done and what are they achieving and what's the goal.
Hmm.
So, what's the problem statement? Why are we doing it?
Hmm.
How is it going to help? And what is the future?
Yeah, yeah.
So again, that entire structure, again, it comes in when you story tell.
Okay. Adding one more question means there are a lot of questions that why do professionals has a very bad impact because of the communication gap.
Sorry, I
So
do you
okay,
are you saying that if there's a communication gap,
yeah,
then there are impacts on somebody's professional life? Communication gap between two people?
yeah. So there is a communication gap between the two people, and it is affected badly affected on their projects.
Huh. Okay. Well, again, understand. Communication is very important.
Yeah,
If you are not able to communicate, let's say, if you, I'll give you an example, okay? If there's a, if there's a missile launched towards a country, and the department that detects that there's a missile coming in, if they are not able to identify at the right time or probably communicate it at the right time, there will be a lot of demolition and devastation. Messages are supposed to be sent at the right time. Imagine you talk to your father and you say, may I go out of the room right now? And he does not respond at that point in time. He responds after 2 hours. Will that question be useful then? In any setup, when a question is asked or when a information is needed, it should be responded within time.
okay.
Because if that's not responded within time, there are speculations. To avoid speculations, to avoid assumptions, because if you would not respond, if you would not communicate, the other party will start assuming.
Yeah,
All right. Assumption leads to a lot of confusions, speculations lead to a lot of confusions, and hence there's a communication gap. And then there might be a chance that, even let's say you were to deliver a project in a certain period of time and you could not communicate it well back, you may be okay in a space where you require help. हर बार ऐसा नहीं होता कि सारा काम हम एकदम जैसा हमें बोला जाएगा हम वैसे का वैसा कर लेंगे, राइट? कभी कभी हमें हेल्प चाहिए होती है. That is where somebody should know that they need to communicate. People are scared to ask for help. You want to learn? Ask. You want to prepare? Ask. You need help. See, that's how life works. That's how everything. I mean, I've watched one of your podcasts where you had a communication coach, and you spoke about how relationships are also impacted because of communication. If you do not communicate, one, and if you do not communicate effectively, two, three, if you do not communicate in time, there are
yeah,
so many factors impacting it.
yeah.
So you gotta first of all learn this. Everybody who's watching it or probably will watch it in the future, guys, communication is important. If you do not communicate, how would somebody know what are you thinking? Nobody is God, right? Nobody knows what's in your brain. You need help, nobody knows.
Yeah.
You're unhappy, nobody knows. You gotta tell people that, yeah, this is what I want. And believe me, when you start speaking things out, things work in your way.
Okay. So basically, how to make communication excellent? Because I have heard from my professors, they used to say me that include the examples in the communication.
Absolutely right.
So can you add context to it?
See, how to be excellent at communication? Well, what I think is practice makes a person perfect. If you are referring to communicating in a particular language, you should know the language, most importantly. Okay. Learn the language. For example, we'll take an example. If it's English, you should know grammar. You should have decent vocabulary. I'm not saying that you should remember each and every word which is there in the Oxford English Dictionary, but then you should be able to, communicate your thoughts in a way without pausing that the other person doesn't lose interest. So, one, learn the nuances of the language, know grammar or whatever the rules of that language are. Two, have right set of words, vocabulary, keep simple. Again, the simpler your language is, the easier it is for the other person to understand, and they are more interested to listen to you. You use difficult vocabulary, people get confused because not everybody knows those words, right? So, two, keep it simple. Third, like your professor said, and I agree to it. I mean, for the past 15 years that I've trained, I am only known for my examples.
Yeah.
I will give you an example, and that's how somebody would be able to make it relatable. And if you were to talk about examples, what kind of example should be given? They should be from real life.
Yes.
Okay. If you have to teach somebody about, how important, for example, I spoke about that theory today, curse of knowledge, that, you expect other people to know everything that you know. If I were to talk about that, I'll say, hey, हम स्मार्टफोन बहुत अच्छे से चला, हमको पता है स्मार्टफोन में ये कैसे करना है, वो कैसे करना है, लिंक भेजना है। क्या हमारे पेरेंट्स को कर पाते? अगर मम्मी को बोला जाए कि अभी इस पे मीटिंग लिंक पे जाना, कैमरा ऑन करना, ये करना, वो नहीं कर पाएंगे। ऐसा नहीं है कि वो कर नहीं सकते, लेकिन उनको नहीं आता। लेकिन अगर उनको नहीं आता तो हमको उनको ऐसे नहीं बोलना है कि इतना सा नहीं आता आपको, ये नहीं कर पा रहे, because that's where you're not communicating it right. You get it? So examples, when you use examples in any form of communication, they should be relevant. They should be more realistic. जैसा होता है, ऐसा होता है, ऐसे लोग करते हैं, अपने पेरेंट्स के पास जाके बोलते हैं, क्या है यार पापा आपको ये नहीं आता, मम्मा आप ये नहीं कर पा। ये रियल लाइफ में अगर आप ऐसे एग्जांपल दो तो किसी को समझ पाएगा, हाँ यार। जब कोई इंसान खुद से रिलेट कर पाता है ना किसी एग्जांपल को, इज व्हेन दे आर एबल टू probably feel it better and grasp the message that you're trying to deliver in a more impactful way.
फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर सेल्स का जैसे मतलब एग्जाम्पल दे रहे, प्रेजेंटेशन दे रहे हैं, तो हम लोग को दूसरी कंपनी का कॉम्पिटिटिव एनालिसिस कर, लोगों ने सेल्स कैसे इम्प्रूव किया, तभी प्रेजेंटेशन और कम्युनिकेशन में
Absolutely right.
जैसे कि आपने एप्पल का एग्जाम्पल दिया। आईपॉड अभी तो बहुत पुराना हो गया। आईपॉड एप्पल का क्या है, आईपॉड है ना, आई डोंट रिमेम्बर।
iPod.
उन्होंने कैसे अच्छे से कम्युनिकेट किया था कि आपका जो 1000 सॉन्ग्स है वो आपके पॉकेट में है, मतलब आईपॉड को आप पॉकेट में फिक्स कर सकते हो। दिस वाज एक्सेलेंट कम्युनिकेशन एंड एडवर्टीजमेंट आल्सो।
Advertisements, you look at that word that you use. Why is it that we laugh at advertisement, we watch those advertisements and then people get influenced to buy those things?
या
ऐसा क्यों नहीं है कि बस न्यूज़पेपर में एप्पल 17 इज लॉन्च, दैट्स इट? नहीं ना, क्यों वो दिखाते हैं इतना एनिमेट करके कि ये देखो ऐसे हो रहा है, लाइट्स ऐसे आ रही है, पास हो रहा है, बिकॉज दैट्स हाउ somebody is grabbing attention. See, communication is not just verbal. Communication can happen in various ways: verbal, non-verbal, your body language, through media. There are different forms of communication, but that entertainment industry or the advertisement industry, the way they communicate, look at the way they impact human brain. And that's the kind of impact that we can also make when we talk the right way
यस।
or when we present the right way. And that's what people need to know. It's not about just speaking. I can also talk to you like this, but then does that make an impact? No. And when you talk like the way you talk, you should. I told you the other day, smile. It's very important. I mean, when somebody is smiling, they look confident. And when you're on the stage and you're smiling and talking like me, maybe I'm not that great yet. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of brilliant people out there. But when I'm on stage, when I'm talking, laughing, smiling, relating, giving examples, and then communicating, that's when people are more engaged to learn
यस।
or engaged to listen to me. You want to be a good speaker? Be an entertainer. That's a that's something that I go with. If you want to be a good speaker, you got to be an entertainer. If you're not an entertainer on stage, you'll be boring.
So you have trained a lot of people, a lot of corporate. So how have you fixed the communication gap in the corporate?
See, in corporates, communication works differently, Pratyasha. With every company, they have their certain processes or line of businesses for which they want their employees to be trained. So it's very customized. So, for example, when I was training people for concentrics, let's say for Amazon, all right, when I was training Amazon, at that point in time they wanted people to learn how to be good at customer service. What kind of statements should they use, how they should be using pleases and thank yous, what is empathy, what is sympathy. When I've trained aviation, they had a different class because they were more into people facing uh, environment. So things are different. So for what I have, see, if I were to talk about something that's been constant, is I've always told people to slow down, wear a smile, be focused, all right, listen first. 4 steps for a good communication: That's me. That's my mantra. Four steps for good communication. First and the most important, listen. Do not be, you know, do not do not just be another person who's hearing somebody. You should be a listener. So most important, if you want to communicate right, you got to listen. When you listen, try and understand what is the other person looking for. Not just the stated, but the unstated as well. Stated, unstated, somebody might just say that, I have this problem. You don't just need to understand that this guy has this problem. You need to understand the emotion as well. Because in communication, you do not only deal with a problem. Emotion plays a very important role in communication. If you're able to fix the emotion of it, एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ यहाँ पर. एक छोटा सा बच्चा है, ठीक है, वो आपके पास भागते हुए आ रहा है, रोते हुए, पापा पीछे कुत्ता पड़ गया, कुत्ता आ रहा है मेरे पीछे, ठीक है. आप उस बच्चे को गोद में उठाते हो, आप पहले उसको चुप कराते हो या फिर आप कुत्ते के पीछे वो डंडा लेके भागना शुरू करते हो?
बच्चे को चुप ही कराएंगे।
एग्जैक्टली राइट. तो
हाँ।
पहले आप कम्युनिकेशन में किसी इमोशन को,
हाँ।
प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने के लिए आपके पास टाइम होता है, ठीक है. आप अपने क्लाइंट को, आपका क्लाइंट गुस्सा है, आप पहले उसका इमोशन फिक्स करो कि आप
यस।
उसको अपोलोजाइज करोगे, उसको एम्पैथाइज जो भी करना है वो करोगे, उसके बाद प्रॉब्लम फिक्स करोगे. सो द फर्स्ट स्टेप इज लिसन. Second is understand what is going on. What is the problem? What is the emotional problem? And what is the actual problem? Then start solving it. Ask questions. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने एक बार में सुना आपको सब पता चल जाता है. Asking questions is very important. You should ask questions to understand. आपने मुझसे एक क्वेश्चन पूछा, अगर मुझे समझ में नहीं आया तो मैं आपसे पलट के क्वेश्चन पूछूं, इज दिस व्हाट यू आर सेइंग?
यस।
और फिर जब आपने मुझे वो चीज बोल दिया कि हाँ ये बोल रहे हो आप सही, तब आई बी कॉन्फिडेंट कि हाँ इसने मुझसे ये पूछा है, इसको इस चीज से रिलेटेड इन्फॉर्मेशन चाहिए या आंसर चाहिए, देन आई शुड गिव एन आंसर. अगर मुझे आपका क्वेश्चन ही, मैं आपको गलत जवाब देता रहूंगा, मैं कुछ भी बोलता रहूंगा, वो आपके लिए सही है. लेकिन अगर मुझे वो अवॉइड करना है तो सबसे पहले वापस जाके क्या, लिसनिंग इंपॉर्टेंट है. अगर मैं सही से सुनूंगा तो मेरे को समझ में आए. अगर मान लो मैं नहीं समझ पाया, क्वेश्चन पूछ, लेकिन समझ लिया, समझने के देन यू स्टार्ट शेयरिंग इन्फॉर्मेशन.
यस।
जब आप इन, गो अहेड.
Oh, you can go ahead.
So, third step, when you are sharing information, communicate slowly, break it down. पूरा वो 8 घंटे का मंत्र नहीं पढ़ना है आपको. धीमे 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 यू शेयर सम इंफॉर्मेशन, यू चेक फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. आप यहाँ तक समझ में आया, ठीक है. थर्ड स्टेप, अब यहाँ तक समझ में आया, ठीक है. कीप ऑन चेकिंग कि सामने वाला समझ रहा है बात को, ठीक है. एंड आपने समझ लिया, फोर्थ सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट, कंक्लूड करो कि देखो आपने ये बोला था और मैंने आपको ये जवाब दिया. इज दिस क्लियर? सामने वाले को ठीक है, गुड, बाय बाय. दैट्स माय फोर स्टेप, idea of communicating. Listen, try and understand, ask questions if needed, share information in a simple way, keep your language simple, keep your rate of speech slow, keep on checking with the other person if they are able to understand. If they want you to repeat, and then close the conversation with a summary that this is what we discussed.
So you told that we need to be a good listener. Okay, so what happened? We love to vent our point out, but because of our ego, if I'm only speaking, I'm not letting you to speak because I have an ego. Everybody wants to vent their point out. They don't want to listen. They just want to speak it out. So,
That's something extremely important.
so how
And
to be a, sorry, I'm not complete a question. So how to be patient and how to be a good listener.
very good. See, you asked the question and you answered it as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I know.
Not listening. Yeah, see, you answered it really well. Not listening is a habit. We, all humans, have a tendency to speak. To listen, you need to be patient. And for that, you need practice. First, most important thing is, as soon as you realize that the other person was saying something, you should be able to shut up and say, please carry on. If somebody is not doing that, probably they're emotionally so invested in that conversation, they don't stop, then they would not. Again, first thing is patience. Calm down. Focus on listening to the person rather than this is what I have to say. Again, very important point to make. If you do not listen to the complete information that a person is sharing, your answer will not or may not be correct. Let the other person complete so that you can answer correctly, right? If I were to go to a doctor, doctor मेरे पेट में दर्द हो रहा है, and doctor gives me a medicine, मेरे पेट में चाकू मारा,
Hospital.
राइट? मुझे डॉक्टर को पूरी बात बोलने तो डॉक्टर साहब ओके रुक जाओ ये मेडिसिन, डॉक्टर साहब मेरे पेट में दर्द हो रहा है, मैं अभी रोड पे जा रहा था, एक इंसान ने चाकू मार दिया। दिस इज द डिफरेंस। पहले सामने वाले को पूरा बोलने दो, नहीं तो आप गलत रिस्पॉन्स कर, ये जानना जरूरी है। ठीक है। दूसरा, अगर आप सुनने के लिए सिर्फ जवाब देने, अगर आपको सही जवाब देना है तो सुनना जरूरी है। इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू नो दैट इन कम्युनिकेशन द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट इज लिसनिंग।
Yes.
When you will realize that, when anybody would realize that, they will start communicating better.
Okay. I don't exercise to be a good listener. That is very important in every aspect of life. Business, corporate, job, anything. Relationship, anything.
It's called learn to shut up.
Okay, what exercise to I don't know.
Okay, this is no exercise. It's called learning to shut up. That's what I call it. All you gotta do is be silent and observe. There is no way people can tell you, you can't put a tape on your mouth. You can't put your hands on your ears. How to be silent is something that is your self control. You're excited to ask a question. I'm excited to answer. If we are both excited, but will that be effective communication if we have verbal collisions? No. Patience. Hold your ground. Be silent. Let the other person complete. Once the other person is over, you would realize now, after 5 seconds, this is my time to talk. That's one for listening. Two, avoiding distractions. Because you asked me this question, how can somebody improve listening? Avoiding distractions. Be focused. So in corporates, what I tell people is, for example, people who are into customer relationship or customer experience, I tell them that, hey, you know what? When you're listening to a customer, take your hands off the keyboard, please. That's what I tell people. Do not multitask. Multitasking is a myth. People might say that, I can listen to songs and I can do this. No. When you're typing, you do not pay attention to that lyric. Or let's say when you're listening to that lyric, you did not do anything here. There are times when we mess up.
Yeah.
So when you're listening, at least at that time, just be 100% attentive. Fold your hands. If required, you close your eyes. Just listen. That improves focus. But then you have to be focused. You don't have to be distracted. While you're listening to somebody, don't use your phone. Don't look around. Avoiding distractions. There are physical distractions, there are social distractions, there are a lot of other kinds of distractions. Again, it's you as a person or the person who wants to listen who has to put in effort there. Be silent, avoid distractions. Do not multitask. काम करना है ना, कर लेंगे, पहले उस बात को सुन लो। सोचो डॉक्टर आपको आप डॉक्टर के पास, अगेन द सेम एग्जांपल, आप डॉक्टर हो, आप डॉक्टर के पास जाते हो और डॉक्टर को बोलो, डॉक्टर साहब मेरे को ना कल से पेट में दर्द हो रहा है, जब तक वो आपसे बात कर रहा है वो व्हाट्सएप पे लगा हुआ है और वो एक पेपर पे भी साइन, आपको लगेगा कि वो सुन रहा है? नहीं लगेगा। आप खुद कॉन्फिडेंट नहीं होगे कि ये मुझे सुन भी रहा है, नहीं सुन रहा है, और वहीं पर डॉक्टर सारा काम साइड रख के बोले, अच्छा बताओ क्या हुआ। दैट्स व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, अवॉइडिंग डिस्ट्रैक्शन। Okay. So to be a good listener, one, be silent, learn to shut up, avoid distractions. And then if technology is important, ना हेडसेट वगैरह पहले से चेक कर लो कि सही चल रहा है नहीं चल रहा है, माइक चेक कर लो, ये नहीं है कि समझ नहीं आ रहा है, और अगर आपको नहीं समझ में आया है, यू आर पेइंग अटेंशन, कई बार होगा, देयर आर टाइम्स व्हेन पीपल स्पीक फास्ट, और there could be a different kind of pronunciation that you may hear for a particular word. पूछ लो सामने वाले से, पूछने में कोई शर्म थोड़ी ना है। यू कैन आस्क देम टू रिपीट, यू कैन आस्क देम टू एक्सप्लेन। इंटेंट अच्छा समझ में आता है। अगर आप किसी से बोलते हो ना, कुड यू से दैट वन मोर टाइम, तो सामने वाले को ये लगेगा कि हाँ, ये सुनना चाहता है। या फिर आप बगैर सुने आधी बात सुन के जवाब देने लग जाओगे ना, तो या तो आंसर गलत दोगे या फिर सामने वाले को ये सुन ही नहीं रहा। ओके, सो फोकस, बी पेशेंट, avoid distractions. And four, if you're not sure, ask. Ask the other person to repeat.
So at the start of the podcast, you told that you were not the same person. You were a totally different person when you were at the age of 18. Now, what was the thing that changed you? That because see, even you are public speaking coach. And when I was in 8th standard, I was nervous about that public speaking classes. But how did you transform from being a shy, if you were a shy student, to a public speaking communication coach?
See, I wasn't really shy because again, I give it to my tutors when I was in school. I was always promoted to to participate in extemporaries, debates. So I could speak, but then the pronunciation was not right, the grammar was not correct. I could speak, just like you said, there are people who don't prepare for presentation, then they just talk. So I was like that. But when I joined corporates, believe me, there are some brilliant coaches that I've got. When I think of them, I can name most of them. It's been 20 years, but then every time I think of that person, I can recollect that memory when I was with them in the room. Those brilliant coaches were the ones to correct me, guide me, and shape me to become the person I am. Without that, there is no shortcut. Success takes time. Learning is gradual. There is no overnight success. There's no, quick learning shortcut that somebody can, probably utilize and become a different person overnight. No. I took time from where I was to what I've become. I think this is the part of a journey that I'm a part of. I've still not reached the destination. Learning is never ending. But again, if I were to tell you how did I achieve it? Because of my coaches, because of my leaders. The first company that I work with, I can give you names: Anviti Sangwan, Shivani Batra, Jolene DeCosta. These guys, all of these are some great leaders right now. Okay, if you were to look at them on LinkedIn or somewhere, you would see that these guys are like the VPs, AVPs, CEOs now. But when I started my career, they were my managers, my trainers, and
Okay.
all I did was I believed in them.
Yeah.
When you have the right coach, let them coach you.
Okay.
Don't have that ego. And I did that. And believe me, I give it to ladies. I've always said this in all my public appearances, even when I'm training, and now I'm on a podcast. I would say that the credit of me being the man I am right now, it goes to all the women who've been in my life in the last so many years, in the form of my family, my friends, my coaches, my leaders. Mostly women. They were brilliant and they taught me everything right.
Okay, so you are also founder. Okay, so why entrepreneurship journey?
See, eventually, we again, but that's I don't really have something where I could reason it enough or appropriately, but I've worked hard for a very long time, and there's one thing that I realized, Pratyasha, when I was in that space where I wanted a hand to hold, I wanted a coach, somebody who can guide me without resources. I had difficulty. All of these people who I've named, if they weren't there in the companies that I worked with, I don't think I could have become what I am. So eventually, with all of this experience in so many years, what I've learned it is my trainees, they tell me that if we were given a chance, probably at the right time, if we would have had the right coaching, we would have become better maybe a little earlier. And this thought came to my mind like, okay, I want to give what I could not get. I want honest coaching. I don't want to make money. The idea of me starting my bathroom was not to make money. My idea was to be able to give it back to the society in a way, the way I wanted society to give me,
Okay,
maybe 20 years ago. I wanted that people. should have been there to help me. I mean, it was difficult to find a coach back then. Today, when I see, it's more difficult because everybody is a coach. I mean, it's a pool of coaches, some educated, some experienced, some just influencers. So all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to contribute my way, whatever I can do. So if
Yes.
somebody reaches out, great. But then again, that worked in my favor because I had that experience and exposure in the industry. So yes, it's going good. But that's the idea,
Okay,
to
I
give
was
it
just,
to society.
yeah, yeah. So your purpose is giving back to the society.
Yes.
Okay, so one LinkedIn post I have read here, so I was analyzing your LinkedIn post. It was that you had a good working culture because you say that everyone should address you as Sir Arun, not Arun Sir. What is your take on this?
Connection.
Okay,
If Pratyasha, if we were not using each other's name, we would be in see, I'll tell you what. Let me put it as simple as that. When you use somebody's name, you feel more connected. Okay. I don't want to use the jargons that we use in the industry, but then it's very simple. And I'm not against people calling somebody a sir or a ma'am, because again, that happens in school and colleges. But in corporates, especially if you call somebody by their name, that's more appropriate because that makes you an equal. You doing your job, I doing my job, right? We both are doing our jobs. I should respect you, you should respect me. So if I am at the airport and this girl who's printing my boarding pass, why should I not call her ma'am, right? I should call her ma'am as well. And then she should call me sir because I'm a passenger. Rather, let's cut that crap. Let me call that person by her or his first name and let them call me by my name. And that thing, when I started doing this, when it, believe me, all of these trainees that I've trained in so many years, the first thing that would happen in my classroom is they'll call me sir. And I will always tell them, hey, you know what? You want to be confident, you want that there should not be a gap, and you should be, you know, free to talk to me. Start calling me by my name, because that's how you would be addressing your customers over the phone. I've been associated with customer service industry mostly, and with customers you don't call them sir or ma'am, because nowadays, you have more than sir and ma'ams as well, so you don't really want to go there. But it's better that you don't call somebody a ma'am or a sir, rather just use their first name. And I think it got me the connect, and that's what I preach. I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I'm making sure that people don't call me sir and ma'am, so that when they become something, they probably not expect to be called as sirs and ma'ams. And even in their professional life, when they're speaking to customers or clients, they don't call them a sir or a ma'am, because when you call somebody a sir, they get an upper hand, and this person may not even deserve to be called a sir, and then they'll take you for the ride. But then if you call somebody by their name, you're equals.
yeah. So thank you, Arun, for being our podcast guest, and hope you would achieve a lot of more things in your life, not on monetary terms and other things also, monetary terms also, but other things also. So thanks, Arun, for being a guest. I really enjoyed the podcast. So I was just cross questioning you, and it was good to know much more things about communication. I got a really good perspective about the communication. So thank you, Arun, for being a
Thank
podcast.
you that I was able to add value, Pratyasha. But then I must tell you, again, as a communication coach, I was observing you during the podcast as well. You've come long way. Uh, you speak really well. You're very confident, and I'm sure running a podcast must be helping you as well. But
Yes,
then
yes.
again, you've got exposure in college and school. You're
Yeah,
doing a great job. I'm sure I would definitely, and I'm sure about it. And I'm not saying I'm not just wishing you. I am sure that there will be a day when I will be playing this podcast in
yeah,
particular, and saying, hey, you know what? This girl who I'm watching on the television right now interviewed me someday.
yeah.
So all the best to you.
Thank you.
Do the great job that you're doing and be the person you are.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't don't just something that I want you to remember, Pratyasha. ज्ञान सब देते हैं,
Mhm.
सबका ज्ञान इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है हमारे लिए. हमारे
Yes.
लिए वो इंपॉर्टेंट है जो हमारे लिए रेलेवेंट है.
Sorry, but I didn't ask this question. I asked to every guest that which book you recommend to read it, because reading book
Very
is,
good.
and you told me that reading is very important because it gives us more information. Adding context is very important. So just I'm really
See,
sorry.
I don't really believe in reading books. I've not really read any great books. I mean, I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and all of those. I mean, but those are more for entertainment.
Yeah.
You should be reading a book which is relevant to your
So yeah.
line of business or life. I mean, I've learned English. I've used, there's this book called Daniel Jones English Pronunciation Dictionary. That's something that I use for pronunciation. But uh, see, so no books. I'm a no book guy. If you remember, there was this no jargon
Yeah.
statement that I had made in my LinkedIn where, so I don't want people to be dependent on a book. You've got YouTube, you've got social media. You like books, you read books. You like internet, you go to internet. You want coaching, you go to coach. You learn the way you want. So Arun would not be able to give it out. I'm sorry, a lot of people would recommend books. Arun only learned with experience. I've learned from people with experience, no books.
Being a guest.
Thank you so much. It was nice talking to you and all the best for whatever you do.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.